when I
They
said
said
it's
this
Satan
works,
talking
it
about
works out
Satan.
the algebra.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See, I thought. Okay, so what I've got here is Matthew 12. This was on the Sabbath when he helped the withered hand, and then he starts saying, "And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his..."
And of course, because we are the colonialists. We're the ones who have supposedly won all the damn battles throughout history, and all of a sudden we're in charge.
Did you do all that colonization, Mark? Are you guilty of colonizing?
I think we are. I think it's biblical. It's biblical. It goes. Are the characters in the Bible people of color? Is Moses black? Is Jesus black? All right. So, if that's true, which I contend it is true, then at least we learn where we got social grace from. Let's start at the beginning of that. If we're going to talk about racism,
Are you saying that you're one?
No, Mark is saying the beginning happens now. He's obviously in a time machine, and he has exclusive access to the time machine.
Excuse me, can we, I don't know, comedian, if you could please, somebody could please, relax, sort of have a nice conversation with Mark. Michael, you were saying something, I just wanted to hear you out.
Yeah, I simply asked Mark if he was trying to say that he was one of the good.
Mark, did you hear that?
Yeah, totally. And I most certainly am one of the good ones, I would say. I would contend.
I'd say he's one of the bad ones. He's in a time machine.
Mark, what makes you one of the good ones?
Well, because I devote my life in trying to change the system. I'm an urban farmer. I grow vertically using soil. I teach that people should compost all this organic waste. That's side of the fact, right? The whole title of the room, are people being racist against white people? I don't know. I think I'm one of the good ones.
So you're one of the good ones because you farm? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, totally.
Well, he virtue signals too.
So anyone who farms is one of the good ones.
Anybody who knows how to make soil is one of the good ones. Yeah, totally.
Okay, wait a minute. One of the good what? Maybe lost. One of the good
They're
what?
one of the good ones who know the problems of the world and how to solve them.
Just
teaching people how to grow food for themselves, how to use this awesome planet that we all call Earth.
I see. So how would you tackle autism with learning how to grow soil?
Wait, I'm sorry, Mark. That was such a ridiculous question. Yeah, that was such a ridiculous question. That's so strange.
No, it's so strange that just because you can grow soil makes you a good one.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I have to do something.
No, he's saying that if you can eat organic foods and avoid getting vaccinated, you can maybe avoid autism.
There is no evidence, scientific evidence that conjoins vaccination with autism.
Oh, okay, Dr. Jerry. Just go talk to Dr. Kennedy.
They put forth various studies if there was.
There's no scientific evidence. There's no scientific
Somebody's a little triggered about the vaccine this morning.
To support that claim, and the amount of money they've thrown at trying to support that claim and failed kind of proves that if it was true, they would have proved it by now.
Exactly. And I know this because I'm in the field.
What field are you in, Dr. Jerry?
Well, my name says Jerry Smith Jr., LBC, so there you go.
So there's no correlation or causation from vaccines and autism. Okay, Dr.
There
Jerry.
is no scientific data that links the two. Not a piece. All you have is what people think or what they even worth, what they feel. There's no correlation. Regardless of what Trump or anyone else tells you, there is no correlation between the two. No scientific evidence.
Isn't that an all or nothing statement?
There's a greater degree of correlation between the rise of microplastics in the brain and autism. And also, when looking at autism rates, you have to recognize that, 100 years ago, autism existed. It just wasn't diagnosed as autism. They just fucking threw you in a home in a corner to be fucking forgotten about, and they called it all kinds of other things. Like, it's new terminology that doesn't make it a new disease or a new problem.
Well,
Well said. Thank you.
I believe the vaccine is the virus, and that's where we're at today. And millions of people have died from sudden death as a result of taking a Pfizer, Moderna, J&J injection. It's not a vitamin shot. It's an mRNA modifier that can give you a stroke, a heart attack, blood clots, brain aneurysms, all sorts of problems, turbo cancers. So you think there's no causation and the vaccine is absolutely safe, Dr. Jerry? You need to go have yourself a martini. It's only 10 a.m., I know, but go have yourself a martini.
There's a difference between saying that the vaccine, especially the most recent mRNA vaccine, is not responsible for causing autism, and saying that it's completely safe. Like, that is not the same thing.
Thank you. And furthermore, to answer your question in regards to, well, never mind. He said it eloquently. I don't need to say anything else.
Thank you so much. Comedian, can I ask you a question? Oh, wait, James, go ahead.
Mask on or off?
Wow.
The intervention part, because
Everybody that's not a man, close your ears. Go ahead, James. Mask off.
thank you. What the fuck did I just hear with regard to vaccines causing autism? Excuse me? Have any of you who are parroting this theory ever worked with people who have that psychological disorder? Have you read the original case studies in the early 20th century that formed this? Have you ever read that there was a massive study that was completed between vaccinated and unvaccinated children, which actually found that, guess what? There were higher rates of autism in the unvaccinated children. And that wasn't even a U.S. study, so you can't... Shut up. That wasn't even a United States study, so you can't use the blah, 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 big pharma excuse. Did I also hear something about vaccines and other illnesses? Well, do you realize that the relative risk is higher if you actually catch the fucking COVID virus? Seriously.
Oh, really? Is that why Sweden didn't shut down?
Shut up.
Just kick me, Dr. James. Are you a psychopath? You're a psychopath, Dr. James.
Be quiet. I'm not done.
Dr. James is crazy.
I'm not done. Thank you. So, I'm not sure why we picked today to do this, but...
Somebody's a little triggered.
I mean, you're talking about eugenics and then you're saying somebody's triggered. That's wild.
So, excuse me, but if you haven't read any of those things, I really think that this just might be the day where you have to be quiet.
So just meditate and ignore the past 4 years of vaccination and terrorism by Pfizer, Moderna, and the government.
Read into the subject that you're interested in.
Michael, you don't know what you're talking about. Sir, you don't know what you're talking about. You do not know what you're talking about. Be quiet.
Okay, James, I wasn't even talking to you.
No. Y'all can continue. That just had to be. Thank you so much, Shane. Great moment. I wanted to talk to Comedian about the title. But I guess Comedian is unwilling to come to the stage. Great conversation, Mark. Thank you so much again. Hi, Jerry. What do you think about the
Sorry, I couldn't get my mic off mute. Are people being racist against white people? Absolutely. Because people are being racist
So,
against
Jerry, just
anybody.
are you a black person?
Am I a what?
A black person?
Are you saying black or back?
Black person?
That matters, but let's say
say that I am.
Do you think that everybody's being racist against white people?
I don't think everybody, because the title didn't say everybody. It just says people.
Yeah. Do you think that anyone can be racist against white people?
I think anybody can be racist against anybody. And I think that's what happens. Humanity has to have something or someone to hate. History has proven that. No matter what happens,
I just want
something and someone to hate.
Wait, Cherry, can you explain to me how people can be racist against white people? Specifically?
Same way they can be racist against black, brown, green, yellow, plaid, blue.
Well, we don't have yellow, plaid, or blue people.
We have you remember the time when you were growing up, red and yellow, black and white? There is yellow. That's what they would call the Chinese, the Asian, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have blue.
Okay, but we can acknowledge we have the yellow. But to answer your question, yeah,
Sure.
I do believe that that it is possible. And you can bring in the economics and stuff like that, but to discriminate against somebody, plain and simple, the basis of it, I believe anybody can discriminate against anybody. I believe that's...
No, but we're talking about racism, not discrimination.
Okay, well, I'm trying to answer your question. I believe in what the title says. Yes, people can be racist against white people, but people can be racist against everybody.
But can you give an example of black people being racist against white people?
The same way white people are racist against black people.
Can you name an? No. I'm not asking you for a logical response or for a reason. For a reasoning, I'm asking you. Can you name an example?
Can I give an example of when somebody was racist against somebody else?
No. Can you give an example of black people by a mass doing committing a racist act or having a racist event towards white people?
Well, the title didn't say mass, so I can't say mass.
No. Are people being racist? Yes, absolutely. Right. And I'm asking you a very simple question that furthers on the title.
Right, I'm telling you a very simple.
You don't have to rely on the title. I'm the moderator. I can moderate the conversation further. Right?
I'm telling you. Yeah.
But Jerry, you're getting a little hostile.
No, ma'am. Far from it.
You're getting a little hostile, Jerry.
That's what I'm saying.
Jerry, you're getting a little hostile.
No, ma'am. I just don't think you like the answers that I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying. Jerry, you've raised your voice with me multiple times throughout this conversation.
Far from it, but I mean,
Jerry, you've raised your voice with me.
Okay, I'm gonna go on mute, so I won't raise my voice. How about that?
Still gonna call them.
Hey, JD, I'd like to take a crack at this. I really think black people are very racist on this app. And you hear them saying all types of horrible racist things all the time, nonstop. It's like they're professional racists, and they're just racial identity politicians.
Hold on, comedian. Hold on, comedian. Maybe you can help me because you're a very logical person, right? We've had multiple interactions that were positive. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Dr. JD.
Thank you so much, comedian. Comedian, can you tell me if there's ever been an event, right, where black people were racist against white people?
Yes, absolutely. Over the past couple of years, we've had to undergo bullshit DEI training and programming from the former head of the Department of Justice's son-in-law, which was a national educational program. And so, for example, I went to a middle school, and I saw all these posters up about 40 acres.
Was that a national educational program that was installed by black people?
Correct. It was installed by the chief.
It was installed by black people.
Correct. Joseph Biden and his vice president, Kamala Harris.
Biden was black?
Yeah, he said he's black. He said if you ain't black, you ain't. You know, if you're black, you got to vote for me because he's black. That's what Joe Biden said.
No, he didn't say anything about his own race. Do you listen?
He said he was black. He said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
He didn't say he was black. He said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Oh, I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
Oh my God.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
Wait, comedian, if you could please just tell me because can you provide a source for that, or are you?
Let me get the link. I'll put it in the chat for you.
Right. I never heard Biden say that he was black. I heard that Biden say that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Something like that.
I stand corrected. Sorry, I suffer from Tourette sometimes, and this was a Tourette moment. My bad.
Okay, that makes sense. While you search up that, I'm gonna go to Sasha. Hey, Sasha, what's going on? Oscar, are you there? All right. Well, since comedian is not able to provide us with evidence of white people experiencing racist.
I also have a link to the recent Ivy League schools and how blacks get preferential treatment over Asians and whites, even though their academic standings are much lower. Yes, at the Ivy Leagues.
Do black people run Ivy Leagues?
Yes, in many cases they do.
What? Where can I find the HBCU Ivy League?
Oh, how many cases? Did he also break down and define preferential treatment?
So we have a lot of questions on stage for you, comedian.
Yeah, it's called meritocracy. If you don't have the merit, you're not going to get the benefits.
Yeah, no, but wait, did you name the Ivy Leagues that black people run?
Yeah, who was that woman, the bald-headed woman who got tossed for being a total woke activist psychopath? Let me get the link. Put it in the chat.
She ran the university, you're saying? She owned it and was making decisions for the university like that? Right, because that way I feel like if you were running something, they couldn't push you out or fire you. I feel like you might be right. I want to be.
It's called the board of directors. The board makes the final vote. Kicked her out.
Oh, right. So that means that she's not.
She was the leader. She ran it.
Are there black people on the board? Just want to check.
Yeah, there were two black people. There were two black people on the 12-person board. Look at Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, for example.
Two black people on the 12-person board there. So, when did they join?
The point is, stupidity is pervasive, and that's what racism is.
Comedian. When did they join? You know?
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you so much, comedian. Now back to Jerry. Hey, Jerry, what's going on? Did you calm down?
Was never elevated.
All right, Jerry. So, Jerry. All right. So, Jerry, I wanted to ask you about this, what I asked you before, if maybe you can answer it now without, trying to answer another question that I'm not asking for. I wanted to ask you about whether or not there was a racial event that happened between, with black people, right, being racist towards white people.
I thought you were asking me to say something now in regards to response to what he said.
Oh, no.
I asked what was a Ivy League HBCU.
Yeah, I hear you, but I'm asking you that question in particular. Are you ready?
Are you asking me what in particular?
And you name an event where black people were racist towards white people.
There have been several events where everybody has been racist.
No, but you hear my question?
We get together.
I'm asking you.
Somebody else.
Wait, Jerry. I'm asking you for a very specific thing.
Be specific, Jerry. Specific. That means an example.
Can you give an example?
Give me your example first, and then I'll go.
Jay, that's not how that works. About what? What should I give an example for?
I didn't ask you. I said comedian.
Okay, great. So I'm asking you, Jerry.
As he co-signed. Now, what were you saying?
Jerry, I'm asking you for an example of an event, a racist event that black people committed towards white people.
Now, that's different than what you're saying in the chat, so let's be clear in your title. Now you're asking for a...
Yeah, I furthered the conversation. I'm asking you for an event. Can you put together an event?
There is not an event because we would feel had we tried to do something like that. We don't have type of freedom where we can go and have a client rally as such. We don't have that type of freedom to do this or that. So as far as an event, we gather. But to answer your question in the title, yes. There have been issues where you can be racist. Absolutely.
Now, Jerry. So there's no racist event that we can think of that black people committed to white people. No attack, no nothing, right? But for some reason, black people can still be racist towards white people.
I didn't say that was an attack. There have been racist attacks.
Can you name a racist attack that happened?
Absolutely. You remember when Reginald Denny was going down the street in his truck when they had the LA riots? He didn't have anything to do with it. Why did they attack him? Why? You're welcome.
Because he was white and they were scared of white people? I'm just confused.
Dr. JD,
have to do with anything?
Dr. JD, why do you create these rooms? What motivates you?
What do you mean, comedians?
It wasn't a racist attack. So I answered your question.
I'm a comedian.
It wasn't a racist attack. It was just an attack. Anyways, comedian, what was going on?
I'm asking you, what's your motivation for opening the room? Because I'm a comedian. I create comedy content, but what do you create?
I create spaces where white people can learn. Together with me, a white person.
So you're educating white people on how racist they are.
Wait, educating? What's that?
Educating.
You just slipped. You said you were educating a white person. Then you said including me. So that lets us know that you're not white right there. You just slipped and went there. So this is...
Caught you, Jack, Dr. JD. We caught you. Busted.
Hold on. People have...
Dr. Tommy J. Curry, you are so funny, Spinelli. Welcome to the Spinelli Comedy Hour.
This is not a troll room.
It's got to be a comedy room. It's got to be comedy. It has to be. This is like a comedy club.
You're caught. You're not confused. You're caught. That's all it is. There's a difference.
I'm just confused.
No, you're caught.
Where did you catch Miss JD?
You're caught.
Wait, I'm so sorry. Like I said, I've been nothing but white. Confused about this type of interaction, but
no, I mean, this is a comedy club. I'm live streaming this to my comedy room on YouTube. Thousands of people are watching us laughing. They can't believe what they're listening to.
This is what we usually get from angry men. Like Jerry. It's really strange.
You know, I've known Jerry on this app for quite a while. He's had his good moments, his bad moments, but on the average, it's positive. It's a high frequency vibration. You might miss it.
So, can I ask you a question, comedian?
Absolutely, Dr. JD. And by the way, Spinelli, how do I address you? Is it Dr. Tommy Curry?
Oh, no, that's just a troll name. That was just troll people. This, however, is my real account. So that's it.
I haven't seen you on the app in a while.
What do you mean?
I don't know, Spinelli. I think this is our first interaction.
It could be. I don't know. Who's Dr. Vu? It's very scary because, like, they're talking about voodoo in the chat, and I'm just very confused. What's happening? I invited you to speak, or else I'm going to remove you.
I want to talk about the title with regards to Carmelo Anthony and Carmelo and Anthony Metcalf.
Actually, I don't want to bring that up because I know that's sensitive to people, and I have respect and dignity.
Yeah, that's cool. I just wanted to ask you an associated question.
About that. I'm not bringing it up because I have respect and dignity.
Okay, we won't bring it up. We won't bring it up.
There's a child that died, right? And there's a child that is currently facing what could potentially be a life-changing event. So let's not bring that up at all.
No, we don't have to. But I did want to ask you about capital punishment.
I did have a question for you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you provide me with the Ivy Leagues that you were talking about earlier, where black people?
Yeah. Let me get the chart. Hold on.
Thank you so much. I want to also say there's a lot of speculation about whether or not this account is ran by a white person. That's very interesting. I don't know why y'all are so angry and so upset. This is a white person. I am a white person. I am white. And white is...
JD, do you think it has anything to do with the fact that you have not shown that you don't have like mixed DNA. Maybe these fine white folks feel as though you might be mixed, and that way you don't want.
My family is Swedish and Dutch. Yeah. I have a little bit of mixed in me. I'm kind of like you.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in that way,
Yeah, that makes sense.
it makes sense. Yeah. Did you find the school, comedian?
No,
What kind of
I saw it
like,
yesterday actually, or 2 days ago.
Okay, so you didn't find the school that you said existed.
No. It was all the Ivy Leagues, and then they had it broken down by ethnicity.
Right. So I want to be clear. There's no way in hell that people can be racist to white people. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell. Right? That's what I mean with stupidity. They're very, very stupid. Comedian, right, is a man that runs up on stages to play music in the middle of the day and disrupt conversations. And then, like, he was asked to provide evidence to something very, very simple. He said, Black people created all these DEI standards in schools and actually should be based on merit, but it's not based on merit because of Black people. But then you ask comedian, right, whether or not there's Black people running these schools, and comedians like, yeah, bunch of them, yeah, bro, yeah, bunch of them, yeah. Can't find one. Can't find a single one.
No, I have the link.
Can't find a single one.
I'm not getting roasted here without it. What I'm really gonna do is just
Anyways,
put my YouTube live in the
as I was
comments.
saying, there's nothing to discuss. Jerry is clearly too old for his own good, doesn't understand anything about race, and also is clearly a charlatan. I'm not engaging Jerry. Jerry is a weirdo. The comedian specifically is a very, very sad old man. Very sad old white man. It's just very sad. Can't even find one source to any of the claims that he makes. My point.
I could find it on
That's
X.
not bad,
I retweeted
I don't want to be clear about that.
it. But there were a lot of other interesting stats that came up when I typed in Ivy League schools. There were all kinds of charts.
He's streaming on YouTube.
Kick him! Kick. Communist! He's a fascist! He's a fascist!
This is it for me, right? And I want to be clear because the media is still streaming Durham.
Kick
I think
him!
there's a bunch of white people that genuinely think that they are being racially antagonized.
Kick him!
To that nation, I want to say that that's just I don't know if it's an insecurity. I don't know if it's feeling of dissatisfaction with the current events. But it's clearly something completely different than actual fact. There's no racial subordination for white people nowhere in the world.
USA! Yeah!
No racist antagonism towards white people nowhere in the world.
That's it? That's all you got, JD? Damn.
Engagement of race, right? This racial logics that we live within comes from who? Right. The end. We don't have to discuss anything further. Race is a hierarchical system. It's not a system that is. What's that? I don't even know what that emoji is. Racial identity politics. I mean, sure. I don't know what you're talking about. System hypnosis. Okay, got you. I think at the end of the day that, like, we have to be clear that race is a consistent, prevalent hierarchical system that antagonizes Black people, brown people, people that are not white, and white people sit at the top of it. And white people have done nothing to stop it. They've done nothing to stop race. Like, it would be something if white people would say, I don't want to be white, and I don't want y'all to be Black anymore. I want everybody to be equal. But no, you want to be white. which means that black people stay subordinated. There's no other way around that. Like that's kind of like a very simple thing, right? Like you don't have to be white. Like there's no identity within whiteness. Clearly, no identity within whiteness. But yeah, that's it. What else before I leave? I want to say, let me see something. Hold on.
This room's called Do You
You know, white supremacy, when I see it, we just had a situation at my daughter's school, like last week, with a teacher, like a whole, but anyway, that's a different conversation. I guess my point is that if we want to look at how every demographic is being affected by these programs, I'm good with that. I just want it to be fair and equal. But if we're not going to deal with the systemic elements that made this thing what it is, the reason for the DEI, the reason for the affirmative action, if we're just going to deal with, just strip away the protections and say, well, now nothing's about race, and not deal with the white supremacy that we still have in our community, I think therein lies the problem. We can't, throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. There are still problems and systemic elements in our society that affect Black Americans that we still need to address. And everybody seems to just be content with just throwing it all out and saying, well, you know what, it doesn't work for everybody, just throw it out the window and offering no solutions. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Deepak, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up?
You hate white people?
I mean, undeniably, yeah.
Bro, come on.
Most people like, what happened on average, I'll put it this way, on average, right? Because most white people are cool with, but like, I loathe you, SAP, so that's what brings the average down.
You have so much hatred for me specifically that just all white people take an L, yeah.
Yeah. But I wanted to say, actually, like, response to like what you said, right, about like the optimization. I mean, yeah, so theoretically, you're right, and I do think that has an effect. But it's hard to like gauge like how much the magnitude of that is, right? Because if the two dimensions you're optimizing for are completely orthogonal to each other, right, you should be able to like optimize one. You should be able to optimize both without like sacrificing on any one. But obviously, I agree with you that there's gonna be some effect. But then like response two is to say that like, look, yes, again, theoretically you're right? But I think at least part of the value of DEI is that it actually corrects a bias, right? That comes in when you're trying to optimize only for the first one. Like in other words, right? Like, like presumably there are attitudes, right? Like some of it is like overt racism and some of it is more like covert kind of subconscious, like, black people can't do this job, that kind of stuff, right? Like Asians can't do XYZ, whatever, right? And like, part of what makes DEI, I think, worthwhile is that it corrects for that. It forces people to like, no, you've got to evaluate all, you got to actually make the effort, take the time, because it's policy to evaluate candidates, right, according to like some sort of, objective criteria and so on. I think that's the best kind of DEI.
Yeah, exactly, Deepak. I mean, it's not, many times the DEI practices at these companies are not going to get you the job. They'll get you the interview. But you still have to prove yourself in the interview after. So, I mean, I think that's the point I was trying to make earlier as well, Roman and Sam, is that, I mean, I don't think necessarily having these programs in place is actually a negative. It's actually when we say, okay, you can't have these programs in place, that it becomes a negative because now you have a correction and the alternate where, I mean, in this case, on a political level, we have the government actually prosecuting and shaming companies for having these practices that they, based on their own business strategies, may have determined whether they are actually useful or not.
Tibor, you've told me about the experience of like affirmative action with Dalits in India and how like that like really extreme. What was the ratios you were saying? You said it was like crazy.
Seven, like the state I grew up in, like 3 years before I went to college, they decided that 69%, I don't know how they chose that number, but 69% of all college admissions would be reserved for like, this one, like, what they call like scheduled castes, right, which are the most backward. So I don't know the numbers, but I guess like they're probably not more than 20 or 25% 25% of the population, and they got assigned 69% of seats are reserved for them, which I think that is pretty extreme, right? I think.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm done responding.
But like I said, that experience doesn't necessarily my point turn me against the idea of affirmative action in general. I just think it's very contextual. It can be done well, it can be done badly, it can be done to the right amount, or it can be done to a horribly excessive amount, and it's all about how you do it.
This is all about trusting that people who do the work to make these decisions have dedicated their lives to it, and that they may not get everything right, but that we continue to build off of those things. I think that bias does us a huge disservice when we just arbitrarily assume, because of the color of somebody's skin or their sex or whatever, that there's no value that they can add. And yeah, I think that's really a huge problem. We should be building off of that intellectualism. But what happens is people who are mediocre make mediocre decisions, create mediocre policy, and it drives away innovation. It drives away the engineers and the smart people because they've dedicated their lives to this work. So they're going to leave that job where they've been censored. I mean, there's already been a doctor at NIH who was working on study of some scientific work around ultra-processed food. He quit. You have different high-skilled, high-tech people who are literally just leaving the country. And so it's like people didn't sign up for this stuff. They had contributions that would have helped so many different people. But it's that mediocrity that's making those decisions. That's the projection and saying that DEI is bringing in mediocrity.
Chris is pure projection donkey.
Here's another observation.
I agree with you.
Because the reverse projection.
I think were you saying, Deepak?
I was saying here's another observation I've had, right? Because I work in a fairly high tech, advanced where typically the people we hire have to have advanced degrees and stuff, a lot of training, right? But what I've observed is you have a lot of candidates from your stereotype, conventional, the kind that you expect to show, right? Asians, from upper middle class backgrounds. Their families are also super well educated. Parents have been engineers, doctors, and so on. I'm just using that as an example. Obviously there are other demographics that are going to be super well represented, and then you have people from other backgrounds, right? But my observation is that if you take two candidates that are otherwise equally qualified, right? In terms of say their test scores or their performance in the interviews and stuff like that, and you ask me which one to choose. I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to use this as a decision maker, but I will, other things being equal, choose the person from an unconventional background, someone who maybe grew up in a trailer park, right? I mean, usually I'll have no way of knowing this, but let's say I did, right? I found that those are the kind of people who have something extra, right? Because the amount of effort it took them to get to the same place that the other guy was at, the amount of gumption, whatever it takes, right? Is going to carry them even further once they get the role. So that's I think another reason for DEI, maybe, that because it also captures, again, if you do it at the margins, right, just a little bit, it captures that extra undefinable quality that raw performance I don't think captures.
No, I agree. I think that there has to be a certain apathy or just dare I even say ignorance, right? Where rural Americans are looking at these jobs and seeing the representation of them, and I think that kind of brings in the racial issue too, where I've said before in the room for you, I didn't hear that whiteness is also a material reality, and white people, for assuming that label, are paid a psychological wage, which is why it's such a visceral white lash when a black person gets to a certain place or position of power that triggers something in there that says that like the tide is changing. But I was going to say, psychological is what was the last thing you said, Deepak? Sorry.
I was just saying, I guess that, like other things being equal, there's like this undeniable quality, right, that I find in people who have like fought through like disadvantaged backgrounds, and it's not necessarily talking about race.
Yeah. No, I remember now. It's very much like when you don't really understand for educational purposes or whatever. It's giving very much of like just hold my beer. I can do that too. Like this whole like administration, the people that are being brought in are just like, oh, I can do that. I don't need. Just hold my beer, watch me, and then it's like, oops, didn't mean to do that. Broke that, but I can't admit that. It's just, it's very mediocre. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was in grad school, I was a TA, and you have, so I was a TA for an undergrad class, and you have kids come in, this is an engineering course, right? So it's pretty hard, like one of the hardest courses they've probably taken. And you have kids from, again, different backgrounds and stuff. Everyone found it hard, but what was especially, like, for the one or two, like, black kids in my class, right? Like, this is an engineering degree, like, whatever, it's disproportionately low attendance by black kids, right? Like, they found it extra hard because they just didn't have, like, a network of other students to work with, to solve problem sets with, and so on. It was just them, right? Like, individually. And, it's all these little things, right, that kind of really add up to make your job harder when you're from
the article and the election commission.
A background like that. And it's like one thing I noticed. And there's also a mindset issue, right? Like, I don't know, maybe like they just didn't have. I remember like a girl telling me once, like, math is like a guy's thing or something. Even though she was like one of the top performers in the class.
Bouton, Via Casal. Fiddler, Bouton.
And like that's why I think math is like for boys or something.
Put me in the article in the election commission.
I think some cultures have a sense of duty and responsibility to each other. Like I live in an area where there's like a few different college students, and what I noticed about like foreign students, it's like they all move in packs, right? It's like 4 or 5 Indian students or, just, I guess, migrant students, and they study together. They, you know what I mean? Like, they say you become, like, the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So when you have in a black community or even just in America, if you don't necessarily have that culture that supports that excellence or that exceptionalism, right, it's harder to kind of build that mindset and have that support system when you got to go to the library by yourself and you have to overcome, limited perspective and thinking in your family. You're not necessarily getting some of the same support, and it's just, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but it is a cultural difference, I think, too. When people come to another country, like, they come in with a sense of duty and purpose. Like, they may just be, like, the lady who cleans our apartment building. She told me that her daughter just graduated from the university down the street. And so it's like, they're coming here to elevate. They're not coming here to put people in the same position that they were in, right? They're willing to do that difficult work. And I don't count out the white blue-collar worker. I just think, as much as I don't count on black people, it's just that I think that he or she is disillusioned to think that they don't need just as much time as they are shorting black people on in order for them to improve and change. Because when you just, like, through these decisions that are being made, breaking relationships and saying back to these jobs at home, it's not going to take 3 to 4 years to be able to manufacture phones and whatever items that we're losing from doing that. It's going to take 30 to 40 years to do that. And I think that type of judgment comes from a false sense of superiority, and that.
Put me in the article on the election commission. Link to my Instagram. Philip Boutin via.
I was gonna say that
We're down.
tech is like really gatekept just because of like the classes now that so many requirements.
Where was LaHood?
I see Deepak left, but it was just like
Where was LaHood at the event?
To have a MacBook because they only use Mac, like Mac software and this, that, and third, and then of course they have Mac computers in the library, but then you have to try to fit that library time into your time if you're working or if you're a student that has to pay your own tuition. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But what I was wanting to add on, because Roland's not here no more, but
you are the problem.
Interesting. He said how he was like in corporate America and he would like to talk about these things, but he can't because it would take away his insurance. It would take away his job. As we think we are in America, it gives that.
Damn, I was listening to a YouTube and I'm in a clown house room and it like overlaid so perfectly you couldn't even tell. Oh no, it was the clubhouse.
You may lose your job, which is your ability to take care of yourself. So that's not really free, So that's probably one of the big problems, and I feel like that's how we should all look at it. I don't think that Black people necessarily hate white people. It's just that certain white people can't speak out because they're scared to lose the certain things that they'll get, and then nothing happens. So.
Oh yeah, it's almost like that's the thing with the benefits package, right? Like, it's like, yeah, you may not be as happy, right? But here you're gonna get a couple weeks of vacation, like, you're gonna get some semblance of reward. And I think it's kind of a knockoff to like, when if you believe in purpose, if you find your purpose or whatever, you find your path, you're able to self-actualize and stuff, like the reward that you get from that is so much greater than a benefits package, right? It's like fulfillment in every different thing that you're doing, and then you're finding different ways to realize your voice through the opportunities or projects that you take on, and that becomes your guiding North Star. You don't go into spaces and places and surround yourself with friends or jobs or anything that's going to diminish you and silence you, because that.
Vibrating energy machines.
You should consider a career in on the pulpit. You may need to.
My nemesis has showed up, Godmaster.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't know if he was ankle biting or he was saying something.
Oh, he's just an ankle biter. Ignore him. Just everybody.
I thought I felt something on my ankle.
Wow. That's racism.
No, it's anti-Semitism. Get your
So I want to add to the topic of the room. Sure do, please do. So, do you hate white people? And that's a no. But I don't know that many people who hate white people. I really don't. I have met people in general who hate white people.
I feel like you should stop saying hate, because people don't hate. I hate white people. It's not hatred, it's just prejudice. I'm prejudiced against white people.
Some people do hate.
Yeah, I hate.
Crazy work. Honestly, I think like if you really hate white people, there's an aspect of like yourself that you hate. It's not really
not at all. Not at all.
I'd like to expand if I can. Yeah, Matthew Gunn. Well, it's worth considering that the culture that a lot of white people happen to derive from is one that does not include things that are not of their own. And what that means is you're different. I don't like that. It's like literally like a carnal reaction. Like, what the fuck is going on? And do all white people have this? No, but some do. And because of that, that creates a strange vortex in which when people try to connect with these folks, they're not allowed. And then you get hatred. That's what happens. I've just seen that happen in too many spaces to not acknowledge that. And I'm not just saying this as a matter of opinion. I'm really tapping into not only historical evidence, but historical declarations. I mean, some people really practice this type of stuff. But to be fair, there are very small populations of Black people who just so happen to practice the same sort of rhetoric. And what that really boils down to is how people should interact with each other, why they should do it, when they do it, and in what context do they do so. And because that has been co-opted, specifically by Europeans in the way that they do, that does invoke hatred for a lot of people. And the reason I say that is because
stitch me into your prophecy.
A lot of their spiritual systems were derived on looking at people through a certain context.
Stitch me into thy prophecy.
Completely restrict them from being able to connect with them in the first place.
That's some deep stuff you just said.
Extremely.
It's just like nonsense, like a string of like words that Sanji put together that like actually
into my prophecy or sage.
No, unfortunately it's not, and I can back up every single
what was the
thing I said
about?
was
You are the prophet. Stitch me into thy prophecy.
So if you want to waste a lot of time on this, you can, but everything is. I don't even have to back it up. Like it's there. It's declared. There's people who feel they're ordained for certain practices and beliefs. So I don't even need to defend their position. Do you get what I'm saying? Like we're gonna waste time if you really want to do this, but I don't want to do that. What I'm more interested in is talking about how hatred is a thing that's strange, unnecessary, and a lot of people don't really feel that. They're just traumatized and responding. That's truly what I actually want to talk about, if anything. But in regards to what people have declared and what they're happy and proud to practice, that would just really be silly. But if you want to do that, we can.
How do you define hatred?
Physical earth and immense.
So, I hate when people say like, "Oh, this is the response to traumatize people." Yeah, that's true for most evil. And the reason why we have things like shame and punishment is to deter the stuff. I understand that. I mean, there are some people that just are pure psychopaths, but a lot of people, if like they were traumatized and then they hurt other people, you should still shame them because it's a deterrent and punish them. So, like, if a lot of anti-white hatred is response to trauma, that doesn't mean we excuse it.
True, but there is a profound difference with I am apathetic and do not want to participate in the shit that you inflict on me versus I am apathetic, so I don't care what happens to you because you don't qualify as a human being. Those are two different things. And the people that practice each of those are coming from different paradigms. And as they practice those things, the consequences are completely different. You don't really see a lot of terroristic attacks against white people.
Robinhood Gold is offering 4% APY with high yield cash.
but it's so fucking rare.
Trade success rate is 80%. If that sounds unbelievable, I totally get it.
Alternatively,
Guess what?
you see people who just know over time. Why does he approach and take this way?
I'm going to take a notice. I mean, how reasonable.
I remember thinking,
This is going to be really famous. There wasn't like a moment in the 80s that was super cool to be in. And then dark music. But there are pockets of my anonymity, and it was devastating.
Internal
I don't want to come off like a victim in some way, so I kept who I was a secret for a really long time. I hid behind an alter ego. Secret word is I want kids to learn not only is being different okay, let's celebrate it, but I want that not just for you, but for myself. Death is just so final. To be able to get your message in
He was so private. It was challenging for him to do the documentary, but he took a leap of faith. He wanted people to see who he was as
always different emotions, always different influences and factors. I was like a dude for it all.
Like it's a powerful, random white person that's done no wrong. It's such a toxic behavior and it has to change. Not only does it have to change because it's immoral for its own sake, but it's gonna lead to. You think that if you keep treating people like Andrew like that, he's not gonna turn into a fucking ridiculous racist? If black people, if every time you meet a black person, he starts humiliating you and trying to dehumanize you, that's gonna turn him against black people. And the obvious equilibrium is to not have that sort of cycle of hatred continue.
That would happen on Clubhouse, but in real life, you just recognize that certain people are not gonna listen to you and you just walk away. You know what I mean? Like you don't sit there long enough for it to like change the way that you think. That's more of a Clubhouse thing. But it's only one racism that's reflecting itself back in black people, back to white people. White people are seeing themselves and their effects in those people and thinking that it is separate from them. And this is a spiritual reality that we just continue to have until
I'm ready to get kicked out of church. When I hit 1 hour, I generally always cut the feed. Like 1 hour of live streaming this shit and breaking it up into 1 hour is long enough.
So, you know, that's just the thing. We can keep kicking the can down the road, but the truth is not something that you outrun. It's always going to catch up with you.
Chris, that's why
This movie's called.
I just don't.
Everybody.
I just think that
you were so to the Hebrew Israelites.
Welcome back to another episode of Low IQ Dumb People talking about nothing, wasting all their time on a beautiful Friday. Everybody. They kicked me.
We're in a guilt-based society. So, where does that context come from? That's why I actually am talking about historical evidence in regards to European thought systems that have to do with spirituality, what is right.
Oh, I love that. We live in
Assalamu alaikum.
I did a reading for Comedian. One of the very pleasurable readings. Aleister Crowley. Love is the law.
Every man and every woman is a star.
Do as thou wilt.
Love is the law, love under will.
Love under will.
She want the cat job. She did the story.
I would like some watermelon, walnuts, some feta cheese, and some pheasant, June, please.
Fried chicken with it.
So why is comedian Islamophobic?
I think he lives in Westwood.
I think he is from West Tehran.
I did. I lived in Tehrangeles on Westwood, actually. It's amazing.
He sounds so Los Angeles. Tehran, sorry.
Tehran jealous. Are you jealous? I live in Tehran jealous.
You live in Tehrangeles? I think I know you, Matthew.
You know me?
I think so. Did you live in Beverly Hills, or where did you live?
No, I literally was born and raised in Great Britain.
Oh, then I don't know you.
The stress is on the word great.
There's literally 100,000 Persians in the Los Angeles area. Hundreds of thousands. It's like possible to know.
The real question is, when will you speak Punjabi with me?
अरे यार तो गाल काटना हुने गाल काट लेंगे यार.
Daddy mani boss panchod soltenas ho gaya kote.
बेवकूफों में पहला दफा होना पहना फेल गाल करेंगे.
Banchot soltenas ho gaya kote. Daddy mani boss kote. Ooh. My name is Narges. I am from Iran. I had to flee because of the revolution. The Muslims took over my country.
Why do these Persians love
He's
the
not
white,
Persian.
whatever he is? I mean, this guy is so annoying.
Where's he from?
The United States of America.
Ethnic. No one's from the United States of America. Where's he ethnically from?
Yeah.
The most statement would be straightforward. His mother's one. Like dropped out.
Yeah, Thailand, obviously.
That's true. You know, all of us have that one thing in common. It's A, that we have brains, B, that we came out of a vagina. And, you know, those are the most common things amongst us.
So ethnically, where are you from?
My father's Ukrainian, and my mother's German and English.
Okay.
But my dad's a Jew, so he's not like an ethnic.
Why are you so Islamophobic?
I'm not. I've read Quran. I just think it's a bad book, to tell you the truth. I'm not impressed.
Or do you think Bible's a bad book as well?
No, the Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, many other books within the Bible are so much better than the Quran. You can tell that, like, one, people are learned scholars sitting in major cities and really highly prolific word users, and then you read the Quran and you're like, damn, this was written in the desert. It's okay. It's cool. It's a different tradition. But when you read Sufism or you read Rumi, that's when I think, you know, Islam reaches its high point. But as far as the Quran, it's, you know, not impressive. And I could show you some hadiths or surahs or whatever it is about the 9-year-old child and the toys, and you're like, what is all this about? This is disgusting.
Oh, see, he's an actual donkey.
Yeah, he is a himar bila shak. So he, for him, the...
Drake. Oh, I also wanted to sing for you guys my new song. It's called Free Free Palestine. Free Free Palestine! Free 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 Palestine!
Yeah, doesn't care about humanity. Just even developing.
Daniel Nero.
What does Daniel Nero think? These Bible thumping Trump Christians, these are the most annoying people in humanity.
Daniel Nero is an atheist.
That's fine. I respect atheists more than I respect these redheads.
We don't know if he's a redhead.
No.
Do you mean redneck?
Redneck? No.
Yeah,
no.
well, red hats.
Red hats. Well, I'm sure he's well read, though. He's definitely well read.
In a parallel universe, is the best guy to go to for any critical inquiry.
friend who is so sensitive to the human temperament. He's an artist, very renowned and very loved amongst the artist community.
Now, yes, don't ever forget there's art in smart. There's also art in
They deleted my YouTube, those fuckers. They deleted my YouTube in the chat. So I'm gonna take you to Chills, and this will wrap it up. This will wrap it up. Oh, I just saw it. Here we go.
You know, should he just be able to, stay at home? You know, I mean, where does it end? I think that, you have to take the law and you have to apply it evenly across everybody when they commit a crime.
Did you have a question?
If it's not extreme, especially if it's not extreme, like mental disabilities. Like there's a difference between having a disorder of the brain, such as autism. No, listen. There is a difference between having a disorder in your brain, such as depression, anxiety, ADHD, autism, and having extreme mental disabilities. There's a huge difference there. There's a huge difference there. On one hand,
you say everybody get it equally. On the other hand, you saying be discerning in some cases.
We're not going to
disagree with her.
We're not going
to. Sorry. Louis specifically started his turn by saying, I want to ask a question to these two people. He did not, or we did not.
It doesn't matter how it happens. It happens.
And it's not really backtracking if I say somebody with Down syndrome.
You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, you got to check it.
Somebody with Down syndrome cannot be held to that same standard because they have an extreme.
Yeah, you're just contradicting yourself again.
No, I am not, because not everyone with autism, especially level 1 diagnosis, like a level 1 diagnosis, right? And a level 1 diagnosis is not extreme enough to say that they have an extreme mental disability.
You want me to show you the contradiction?
It's slight.
Actually, you want me to show you the contradiction?
In everyday life. Someone with Down syndrome cannot function in everyday life.
You want me to show you the contradiction?
You are going to be more lenient on that person.
But he hasn't.
Whose turn is it? Just go ahead. She want to be belligerent. And
I'm not being belligerent.
No, you are being belligerent because I offered to just show you the contradiction. You just ignored it and repeated yourself. Like a belligerent child. Like a belligerent child. So I'm gonna just move on. I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on now. No, this is an adult showing that I'm not going to engage in belligerency with a belligerent child.
Right now,
go ahead,
you're being the adult by interrupting my turn. And then, okay, go ahead. Tell me what the contradiction is.
Move on, Ashley. We'll get back to it later. Let's have it go.
Everybody good.
This nigga about to draw it out. Just go, bro. We don't need all this extra shit.
Anyway, as far as the death penalty concerned, I can say there's certain laws that I do like if you are molesting a child and you kill them out. If you kill an old person in your house, do something to the body afterwards. I forgot the name what they call that. Those type of things deserve you to actually be put on. If you go in as a racist and you kill a bunch of LGBTQ people, or you kill a bunch of black people or white people, whichever, those deserve it. But I'm going to tell you, I don't have a problem against the death penalty. I got a problem with the way the death penalty is being put into the death penalty itself. Like, I'm going to be short here. An example, in South Carolina, if you're up on your Democrats and the Republicans down there, well, they voted and they brought back the gun squad. One of my homeboys who he's going up for his shit like in a couple days, a week or so. I talked to the family. He's about to be executed. Now, what he's about to be executed about, I don't think he deserved it. He does deserve the time if he did, but they say he did. But they brought back the firing squad. That means they can line you up or line the firing squad up and shoot you till you dead. That part of the death penalty, I don't agree with.
The injection part, even the chair can be so harsh where I don't even agree with the chair, but that little injection that puts
getting electrocuted to death. Nah, that ain't harsh.
Disease to the community.
It's just,
I have I'll go study with the way that they're now.
I think he's saying this because I put it in the chat.
Just from the chair to other ways to do it that are very inhumane, so that's my take on that.
Seven, by the way, it is they have the choice of whether they want lethal injection or the firing squad. The case of the person that faced the firing squad chose that.
Next, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, but it still shouldn't be a choice for them to say, hey, we're going to shoot you or you can get in the chair. Both of them are okay.
It's the choice of the person, by the way. I just wanted to clarify real quick.
Calm down today, Carter. It's my turn today, brother. But it ain't about you, though. If you're just going to repeat yourself, well, okay, you're going to do the same thing. So actually, I'm going to say something totally not related. Thank you for respect to the cue. Thank you for respect. Yes, ma'am. You good. All right. Yes, emasculate me because I want to get my turn and not let a nigga take my turn. Okay, all right. Anyway, so the whole point is, I hate when niggas come to the conversation brand new, 5 seconds in, they hear the fucking gist of the conversation. I'm on them. They hear the gist of the conversation, and now they want to fucking jump in and opine, not knowing what the fuck the nuance of the conversation is, right? You got the gist, death penalty. What about the motherfucking nuance? The man with autism and whether or not he should face the death penalty. How about that? You know anything about that? No. Because you just got your happy ass here and you hopped off the fucking mute button and you want to start talking and run those big fucking bell pepper ass lips. We're tired of it. We want educated, articulate, nuance-laced fucking submissions. We don't want no fucking nigger TED Talks. I hate a nigger TED Talk. You got that right. And I hate a cracker TED Talk. I hate any form of bigotry or caucasity. And you know what I'm talking about. Amen, brother. Hold on, let me finish. Hold on. Thank you, choir. It's time to pipe down that preacher preach. Thank you. And so I would encourage these niggas who just get to the room. I think you know who I'm talking about, congregation. And want to just start talking. And what's so crazy, they want to skip the line. They don't want niggas to be able to get their full point out. They want to start yapping immediately upon arrival. God, what is this? What type of fucking entitlement is this? What kind of shit is this?
Anywho, I wanted to clarify for Ashley that wholesale, I am against the death penalty. And I would argue on behalf of anyone, including somebody with fucking anxiety, to be put to death. That's crazy. Yeah, that's.
Oh no! My point is, would you hold them to a different standard of the law? Like I'm arguing for holding them to the same standard of the law, not just death penalty, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about lowering the standards for this man because he has autism. That's the discussion.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I would say death penalty should be taken off the table, and that will
So this meme coin that I have in my
as far as I remember,
did anything. I mean, in fact, probably should be not against.
By way of those special interest groups who have those convictions overturned. So there is this really high likelihood that we're putting to death people who didn't commit the crimes they're accused of. Also, the racial proportions of who's being put on death penalty gives me pause. And then there's just my personal human life.
It ain't a schizophrenia deficiency, my friend. I just had some powerful espresso. I'm about to get in my hot peppermint water. Then go to the yacht club for the rest of the day and play cards.
So
the next season.
Humans like precious, right? So like taking another life.
Not familiar.
Oh, you gotta check it out. It's basically about like how the world is, and basically there's just a bunch of people who are like not responding to any of the problems and stuff, and it just, yeah, it's actually, I don't know, it might be a little bit triggering because at the time that it came out, like it wasn't as intimately connected to just this moment, but it's actually even more true. It's on Netflix. It's just a movie though, but I just imagine, us being bogged down in distracted conversations that don't actually point out what the real enemies are, and spending our energy focused on the wrong things instead of everything else that we really should be.
I got smoke. I'm racist today. I got smoke. I got smoke. I got it. I'm with it. I got smoke.
So the stupid white people, I fully agree they're stupid white people. I basically think my view on things is that like most people are like peasants. Like most people are like basically like mentally retarded peasants walking around that I have to like deal with. But like just because that's like the way I see the world doesn't mean that like I can't be kind to people. Like there's a lot of retarded white people, that's true. But there's a lot of retarded all kinds of people.
The type of person who says peasant instead of like plebe or some other more sophisticated word, it might be a peasant.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all peasant. Generally speaking, I'm not the top 1%.
I'm not a peasant.
Oh, what are you, Millith? Help us out. A patrician.
Like think about in the Middle Ages, you'd have like a bunch of peasants that would be like get like scared that like, oh, there's a witch. I hear there's a witch in the woods, and they would start fucking like get out with their like pitchforks and like try to kill them, and then they just like kill some random Jew lady who was just like, what are you doing? Like that's like people are still like that. People like have moral panics over nothing. They don't even check basic maybe claims that are easily Googleable. Don't even check them. Like I don't know. That hasn't changed. People are still like,
hey, that's a European technology. Look up the concept on pauperism and where that comes from. I'm just saying.
Pauperism? What do you mean? Like Karl Popper or like pauper? Like
a peasant. European pauperism.
Yeah.
Like literally, yes. That concept has influenced our culture. Our Western culture significantly. These are just
we're gonna go a little longer.
I don't understand what you're talking about. What concept?
Pauperism.
Okay, what is pauperism?
Pauperism, like you're a peasant. Pauperism. That idea that separated the poor, the undesirables.
No, but Sam's not referring to actual like peasants, right? Or like people who are like economically disadvantaged. He's referring to like people who are like intellectually impoverished.
Oh, there are people who are functionally illiterate when it comes to their emotional life and all manners of that, and they're able to achieve all different types of levels of success. So it's like society doesn't need you to be whole in order for you to for them to find some utility in you, and for you to present that in a way that looks really, really great. Even.
Okay. I'm sorry. What does that have to do with what we were talking about, Chris? Sam said, right, that he perceives most people as being intellectually impoverished, such that he considers them like peasants, right? Like that they're just like, ruled by their baser emotions, don't have like, higher faculties of like reason and like,
epistemic hygiene or whatever, right? Like, that's what Sam's saying, okay? So, like, how does what you said touch that?
I didn't know that that's what that entailed. When you said intellectually impoverished, I thought you were, to me, I thought that to mean that there are people who are, like, seemingly intellectual, and I guess we would observe them as intellectual, but they actually have a degree of, like, I guess being impoverished in some other way. Like low emotional
intelligence.
No.
Wait, I can answer that concretely. It's because it's associated with moral failure. It's associated with moral failure. That was a European introduction. Like I didn't make this up. I'm sorry.
It is kind of interesting that a lot of our terms for bad behavior started out as terms for poor people. Like the term villain used to be a term for poor people. And I think they're like vulgar just means common. Like it's kind of interesting that we take words for commoners and use it to mean bad.
Yeah, actually, it's associated with moral failure. It came from pauperism. It came from like you're a pauper, so like you're a threat to us all. That idea it is in the background of like some of the ideas we think today. That's why people just treat people like shit in our society.
So you can type in the chat. Have you ever heard read Robert Frost's poem Fire and Ice? Have you, Sam?
No. Say what you said.
Robert Frost's poem Fire and Ice?
Yeah, I've read that one, yeah.
Yeah, me too, sorry.
So, like,
Two Roads and Roger Yellowwood. Sorry, cannot travel both. That one's gay, though.
Part of why through history, terms for commoners got associated with evil is because of, like, classism and stuff like that. And people want to feel high status and just associate everything negative with people that are below them in class. But also, people that are poor and desperate and uneducated will tend to be more evil. So there's, like, two things going on there.
I think like when we earn education just through like the education system, but we don't actually we don't actually live I guess some of the experiences that would kind of shape us like internally, then it just becomes something that we kind of hold on the wall or kind of put on the wall, but not something that we hold to be true. You know what I mean? Like to speak from a place of like conviction. I don't know. Like, I guess what I'm saying is like, it depends on why you're doing it. Some people just want to get a degree so that they can say that they're a doctor, right? Some people want to become a doctor because they actually want to help people. And that's the reason why they're doing it. You know, some people just want like a lot of money because they just want to be able to say they have a lot of money, right? But they don't actually have any intention of making the world a better place because of it, right? It's just feeding some sense of worth or worthiness. And I think that shows up in how they treat other people and maybe look down on other people because it's like, look, you didn't do what I did to get what I have. And they're like kind of justifying why they did it by calling other people peasants.
Yeah, they want to be the upper echelon no matter how they did it, and they want to look down on all the others.
Yeah, self-aggrandizement, yeah.
Which, I mean, you see it common a lot. I mean, even social media, right? People just wanting followers. I remember when IG first came out, like, it was just like, people were just posting, follow this page, follow that page. You didn't even know who you were following. People were just following people. It's just like Pokemon. Like, people was just trying to get as many as they could. And it was just about the number. It wasn't about, like, who these people are.
Interesting phenomenon.
And I think that people have literally been validated into taking their clothes off to the point that OnlyFans makes more money than, like, the NBA and I think the NFL. I want to say combined. I can't remember what this is was, but it's more than the sports league.
Boom.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like what is going on? The lowest common denominator. We all came into the world naked, and that's how they're making the most money. Crazy.
It's all through validation and just wanting to be validated. And it can literally change the way that you think to the point that you'll rationalize it and say that that's, you authentically made this decision, but you couldn't accurately contextualize all the different factors that kind of change that behavior at the end of the day. And I think Mila said something that was interesting. It's just if you go looking for a problem, a lot of times you will find it because it's what you wanted to find in the first place. So it's for instance, if you go into rooms and you talk to people that validate some assumption that you have, you linger there long enough, I mean, it will wash your brain over. When you practice certain thought patterns for a long period of time, it creates neural pathways. And your mind becomes made up about a particular topic that just becomes your worldview. You start to see it and recognize it in everything because you've created an algorithmic relationship with it. Your attention is always on it. You see it everywhere. You keep pointing it out. And it's oh, but that's, based on everything that I see. Well, that's what you wanted to see. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, as just as much as the social media influencer just wanted to be liked. And now they're taking their clothes off and doing all different types of things. And, making it seem like they're really, really, really happy and whole at the end of the day.
It makes me think of a thought I had around the Bible being confirmation, programming or prediction. So confirmation bias comes to mind.
Yeah, it's definitely confirmation bias, and I think that's where it's whether you believe in the word or not, but just capture every thought. You're one thought away from another thought. It just depends on what you choose. You know what I mean? You get big choices and you get little choices. You know what I mean? To just decide. It was one time I'll admit, I was in Clubhouse and I saw an opportunity to make a joke. And my fingers were lingering over the chat keyboard. But then I was this joke is not really a reflection of you, Chris. That's not really, you don't really do stuff like that. And then I just shook my head and just left quietly. I was we have a choice and we have a decision to say certain things and not to do certain things. But if we don't catch it, then it just builds before it inevitably just changes us as a person. And I think the same can be said about other people who speak certain things over us time and time again, tell you that you're nothing, you're not worth anything or whatever, or you're this way, you're better than everybody, and you see it represented in a lot of different ways, then that just creates this false narrative that you have to, or you believe that if it's challenged, it's challenging your sense of self-preservation, it's challenging your identity, and you have to justify to maintain that, because right on the other side of that is grief. Grief not being losing someone, but losing an expectation of how you thought things would be, or what you thought to be true, and that's a difficult thing to be able to go through. But it is a lot of decisions, I think, that come with building your life in a way, or making a lot of decisions building your life up in a way that may not actually be the best way for you to live or the best way for you to think. Because with the voters in this election, right? Some people have left their family, they've left their jobs, they've sacrificed they don't talk to their parents anymore, they don't go to Thanksgiving anymore, they don't go to Christmas anymore, their daughter doesn't talk to them anymore, you know what I mean? They've sank their business and stuff like that, and it's just you're really anxious. It's oh my gosh, I hope that, this has to work out, because if it doesn't, my God, the grief that I would face for everything I've sacrificed to go along this bogus narrative that wasn't actually true. and it's like you're trying to preserve your sense of sanity, which I think is a very much natural thing, but it has to be maintained with other sane people.
Do you think that's what a lot of this is?
Almost. But when you say what this is,
I guess people's issues with one another, do you think it's grief that doesn't know how to express itself? Maybe based on, like, I don't know, some other shit that's going on within them that they know how to process.
Well, what's the word you say? Greed? Grief. Oh, grief. Yes. Grief. It's grief. It's exactly what it is. It's grief. People not processing grief, right? Somebody said, a phrase heard someone say that love, that grief is love that has no place to go. Like, we're not processing our experiences. We're not naming them. We're not naming our emotions accurately. Like, we're not crying. Men are not crying. Like, they're not like processing their experiences. Somebody in this workshop I went to for men had an acronym for THUG as traumatized human unable to grieve. You know, like, it's grief is like it's not, again, it's not just losing a person, it's sometimes losing an expectation. And I think, like, you're seeing people right now with things are going.
So good. He was gibberating. Oh, really? Really? He was a gibberator. Yeah, a little bit. Some people just take too long to say anything.
I mean, I asked him the question. You could have just kicked him. Or just told him to start him.
Yeah, Sally, is that you there?
Chris got kicked?
Yeah, what's up?
Not too much.
Sam's a
Is there a term for just someone who's just, like, completely uneducated, but in a way that's like a slur? Like a fucking, you uneducated, you fucking.
Yeah, it's called being.
Don't take it personally, Chris.
Yes, okay, fair.
It's a
I think the word idiot has like a specific meaning of having the approximate intelligence of a 3-year-old. Is that true? I think so.
It's insane.
So, yeah, I think I don't want to use the word peasant because it has too much class connotation. I'm more just trying to get the connotation of an easily scared, uneducated person who believes in witches and stuff like that. Like, and I don't have a good, like.
I prefer dyslexic retard.
Good one. Good comeback. We just predict that.
What's that? Okay, sorry. I get it. Sorry, I get the connection. My bad. Sometimes I just don't think, you know.
Now I'm with you. Why do you hate white people?
Because Menace is white.
That's just Jew erasure, bro. Yeah, and also that's a bad inference.
Why?
It's just because I'm white and you hate me doesn't mean like you should hate all white people.
It's a hasty generalization.
Yeah, it's a hasty generalization.
Hey,
there we go.
I can't reason.
There we go.
I can't reason from pot to hole. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying in some cases, the whole reasoning is going to be in other context. It's not. This is a context.
Answer me this. Hey, riddle me this, Batman. Okay.
Okay.
If all the bricks are red, okay. If all the bricks are red, and all these red bricks comprise the wall, is it a red wall? Huh?
Wait, if none of the bricks have doors, does the wall have a door?
Oh.
Can the wall have a window?
Oh, yeah.
None of the bricks have openings. Can the wall have an opening?
Every sheep in the flock has a mother. Does the flock have a mother?
If every cat has a mother.
If every brick is a brick, is the wall a brick?
Oh, that's another.
If every
mother alone.
By the way, Timothy, did you read my anti-Islam essay that I sent?
No, I haven't even checked what it's what's that?
You're writing a lot of essays these days.
Right.
I always be writing.
Yeah,
girl.
so you always be right. I was thinking this last night because Lance posted some Reddit blog or something that I was reading, and we were both critical of the person who was writing it. But like this style of like Substack Reddit post writing is just so cringe to me. Like I can't. It's like everybody's giving a fucking TED.
So what you prefer people write?
I'm not even gonna lie though, Sam, like you should do a series like this because there's times when it comes to the Bible and stuff, I can't be fucking bothered to like go look on Google and then these people do this cringe shit where it's like, do you read the scripture, bro? Tell me, what's this? Like the Christian starts playing ignorant, like I don't know, you tell me, I don't know, dog. It's your critique. Like it would be nice if someone could just compile every single one of the inconsistencies, contradictions, but then also in a form that you can kind of just like read through it, like an easy read with the references, with the actual scripture. That would actually be really good. If it was like a series for like all these kinds of beliefs or all these kinds of like common like kind of internet arguments like flat earth shit, all the best arguments against flat earth like that in a really simplistic
compendium.
Yeah, like if you did yeah, exactly. If you did like a fucking
Systemic industrial.
if you made an account like that, or if it was like a YouTube channel like that, I think that would get some traction. If it's YouTube, they need some like cool, maybe it needs to be like an animated video. But if it's like like a Twitter account or something, or just like a blog place or whatever the fuck, a blog post, whatever.
I will say that one bad thing about writing this list is like when you like learn a song, the song is like less fun to listen to. Like every debate with a Muslim is gonna be fucking. Let's check the list. Yeah, but that's what I take most of these kind of skilled debaters kind of from doing. Like it's just this kind of maze run, this little dash through the maze. Like we know, like I know I've got the map, I know the blueprint. Yeah, but I don't want to have the same repetitive conversation over and over.
Oh yeah,
really? So what's the title of this room?
Yeah.
Like, did you hate black people? What was it yesterday? Did you hate black people? What was it the day before? Are black people racist? Then? Okay.
Yeah, but like,
how about that Andrew conversation?
Huh?
How about that Andrew? Joel? Was it Yoel?
Oh my god, that was the best thing ever.
He conspicuously is not interested in having his usual summary, like fucking debrief. Like,
we can't do after party comment.
I think we need one though. We need one. # justice for Joel.
Wait, what happened to Joel?
I think the worst point Andrew made was something about like some Black American slaves were treated decently or something like that. That was probably the worst.
That one was the other one was like just the entailment of like fucking. Well, just don't entailment. The like some slaves were killed justly.
I mean, like I kind of understood where the tension. Like I had some sympathy for like both sides of the conversation about like. Can you kill somebody to like escape like bondage, basically? Like it's a weird question because it's like, okay, yeah, I don't think like you're justified to like push a button that kills like 10 billion people to free yourself, right? Like I think that would be like kind of extreme. But it's like if somebody trapped me in a basement and like there's an innocent person who like has the key to my cell, and I can just, if I kill them, I can get free, then it's like, okay, yeah, I probably think that's...
There's something like, it's kind of ironic, because in attempting to be like hyper nuanced, there's some clear nuance that's like lost from a lot of these discussions. And I tried to like reintroduce it back to the discussion, but at that point, that kid, whatever his name, or Joel, whatever, he had had the bit firmly between his teeth, and he just wasn't interested in kind of engaging sincerely. And Andrew kind of to a certain degree was, but like it's only because.
Hello, Shuki. This is your former IDF commander, Shlomo. I have come to read you the Torah.
I'm waiting for my job to be a crisis actress.
Well, we could do that today if you want. This is what it says. It says, and this is the meaning of what the prophet said after the destruction and the exile. The graces of the Lord, that is, because we are not perfect, for we are not whole and perfect without any sin and blemish in the soul and the upper worlds. That is why we need to conduct ourselves in accordance to the graces of the Lord, which are without limit, and in order to elicit into ourselves compassion and chesed, ilah rav chesed, an unlimited, infinite compassion, as it is written, for his compassion is not exhausted. And this is what our sages meant by saying, Israel will be redeemed only through charity, which they will perform even when they are free of judgment, for the Son of David will not come until. To make your skillful of understanding that this is not the way in which the light of the Lord dwells, in there being a desire for the life of flesh and children and sustenance. For on this our sages said, make not your will. That is, one's will should be nullified so that one has absolutely no will in any this worldly matters that are implied by children, life, and sustenance. As our sages said, that despite yourself do you live. This means there's to be only an absolute belief in the Yotzer Bereshith, that is, that the creation of being ex nihilo yesh miyayin, which is called Reshith Chakma, his wisdom, which is not apprehensible to any creature. This creation occurs constantly in every moment by all creatures coming into being as a substance ex nihilo yesh miyayin, from his blessed wisdom, which animates everything. And when man will contemplate into the profundity of his understanding and will imagine in his mind his coming to be ex nihilo, truly every moment, how can he possibly think that he has it bad, or any afflictions related to children, life, and sustenance, or whatever other worldly sufferings? For the not ayin, which is his blessed wisdom, is the source of life, welfare, and delight. It is the Eden which transcends the world to come, except that because it is not apprehensible, one imagines to have it bad, or afflictions. In fact, however, no evil descends from above, and everything is good, though it is not apprehended because of its immense and abundant goodness. And this is the essence of the faith for which man was created, to believe that there is no place void of him. And in the light of the king's countenance there is life, and conclusively strength and gladness are in his place, because he is but all the time. Therefore, first of all, man ought to be happy and joyous at all times, and truly live by his faith in the Lord, who animates him and is benignant with him every moment. But he who is grieved and laments makes himself appear as if he has it somewhere bad, and is suffering and lacking some goodness. He is like a heretic, heaven forfend. That is why the Kabbalists strongly rejected the trait of sadness. The faithful, however, is not indisposed by any afflictions whatever, and with respect to all mundane matters, yes and no are all the same to him in a true equation, but he to whom they are not the same shows of himself that he is of the Erev Rav, who act but for themselves, and loves himself to the extent of removing himself from under the hand of the Lord to live the life of heathens. Because of his self-love, that is why he desires the life of the flesh and the children and sustenance, for that is his good. It would have been better for him had he not been created, for the purpose of man's creation in this world is to test him by these trials, to ascertain what is in his heart, whether he will turn his heart toward the other gods, namely the passions of the body, which evolve from the Sitra Achra, and desire these, or whether his desire and wish to live the true life which evolves from the living God. One must believe that he really lives in it, and all his needs and everything related to himself truly evolve in all their details, not from the Sitra Achara, but from the Lord by whom the steps of man are established, and there is not a word. Conclusively, everything is absolutely good, except that it is not apprehended. By believing this truly, everything becomes good, even in appearance, for by such a faith that one believes that the very substance of what manifestly seems to be evil is in fact of the supreme good, his blessed Chakma, which is non-apprehensible, and is the Eden which transcends the world to come. Through this faith, the imagined evil is truly absorbed and sublimated in the concealed supreme good. That's from Igoreth HaKadosh, from the Likute Amarim, the Tanya. So basically, everything is for good, even all the bad things, because you think they're bad, but they're actually, it's good. It's good that it exists, is what I'm saying. Because it's for you, meaning that it's like your rectification. So Danny, what you just have to realize is that everything is, there's the expression is there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. So it's your way of thinking that has to change. The environment is going to change, but your thinking has to change. To believe.
But there's no speck of dust out of place in the universe, and my thinking is perfect.
Not if you're, see, I would just put it in terms of like energy, meaning like if you're transmitting a high frequency positive vibration and everything you're saying is very positive, optimistic, joyful, well, then you're in a blessed state of mind, which is like being in the Garden of Eden. If you're being negative and pessimistic and using negative words all the time, complaining, criticizing, etc., then you're not obviously in the Garden of Eden. You are in Gehenna. So.
It is about the mindset, and the universe is just information, though.
Yeah,
so what does that mean if the universe is information? And
they say that it's a daily renewal that you forget every day, so you have to come back to the Torah. If you don't reset every day and come back to the self, or do some type of self-actualization therapy or hypnosis, it's easy to slip back into the negative side, which is like the Yetzer Hara.
When you wake up, do you say the Modeh Ani?
I don't. I've done it before, where I've put on tefillin and like consistently done that. But I feel like just picking up the book and reading it is kind of like the same thing. Because if you put on your tefillin and you say the Shema and all that stuff, what you're doing is creating a gnosis, a hypnosis, or a unity with God. So it's the same thing if you read a book. That's what's happening, is you have to literally put the words back into your brain daily. That's what the sages teach. And some books are better than others. You can have like crib sheets or basically cliff notes or just a compression, bullet points. You can just read like a one-pager every day. It would technically be enough, in my opinion.
I said to my son this morning, Modeh Ani, when I woke him up, because he loves to write it down. But then he said bye-bye. He wanted to sleep more.
Leave me alone. Go start my breakfast. I'll be there in 10 minutes. 10, not 11.
But he loves to write Hebrew things. He wrote Shalom Havarim.
Nice.
It was just too early for him this morning. So how do I lift my frequency to be like higher than this? It's very like this.
Breathing meditations is one way, but if you do yoga at the same time or stretching, I would just call it stretching and breathing program, SBP. So like if you have a mat or, a nice area that you can lay down and stretch on, just do hip rotations, hamstring pulls, and do a lot of deep breathing. And then do a lot of holds. They call it diaphragmatic breathing, where you're filling your lungs to capacity, and then just keep stretching. That would be like one way to raise your positive high frequency vibration, like in an immediate way, physically. It's called body consciousness. There's a Hebrew term for it. I don't know which Kabbalistic term or which Sephira corresponds to it, but it's about, your body consciousness. It's basically saying take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, love your body. It's your vehicle. So keep it clean, let it breathe, hydrate it. That would be like one way to raise your Kundalini chakras and to supercharge your neshama. That's like the best way. And then reading a book, obviously.
Any more wisdom?
Do you want to hear more Torah?
How do you feel about Kanye and Jeffree Star?
Jeffree Star?
Yeah, so there was like a rumor like years back that they hooked up, and now that this whole cousin thing came out, Jeffree Star's like saying the rumors were true.
I think I've actually met Jeffree Star, to tell you the truth. I was like helping YouTubers monetize. And let me see if this is the same guy. Oh, no, it's not who we met up with. Like, because I used to live in LA. So my sister and I took out some like super successful trans guy to lunch. To like talk about his YouTube or whatever, because I was working with this other guy who had a very successful YouTube. But we never did anything. But he was like a legit, trans celebrity.
Yeah. Probably one of the biggest ones, like makeup line and everything, like went so viral.
Do you know those Kardashian sisters are worth like $3 billion collectively?
They're so smart. People hate them, but they're just so smart. I can't.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting though, because it's like if you want to have your pulse on the culture, or you want to, it's like you kind of have to do some, like, I don't have television anymore. I don't like have cable, but like if I did have cable, I would definitely be, clipping all these shows and putting it on YouTube. And I bet you if they didn't trigger copyright violations, they'd probably get tons of fucking views. All I'd have to do is spend like, the minimum for the television, for cable.
But is the secret to them is that they meet a lot of people? Like you met this famous person. And like the secret to being famous is just like putting yourself out there maybe a lot.
It's basically a mind virus within a network. It's like a floating gaslight, that is like attracting eyes as it floats through the network. That's the media business. Everybody's playing this media game, which is essentially how much can I gaslight you so I can get retweeted, commented, and interactions. That's the whole thing. It's like how many impressions can I generate on my content? So the more cringe it is, the more gaslight it is, the more that it's going to activate dopamine and thus become viral content. I was thinking about honking yesterday in cars, because technically that's like people communicating with each other. But, the chances of somebody returning a honk for a honk are like 90%. So, it goes to show you that the general population is highly reactive and they respond in kind to the energy frequency that they receive. So just be mindful that like whatever you receive, you're going to, relay and reply in the same energy frequency.
Y'all become some Asian experience.
Why not give your taste buds a real thrill?
Now he's speaking Asian to an Asian girl.
Sounds like Russian.
Or maybe it's Russian. He does speak Russian. Russian's Asian, you idiot.
Only a part of it is Asian.
Still mostly in Asia.
I don't think it's like Siberian in Asia.
I think most of Russia's in Asia, Tommy.
I think.
You think most of Russia's in Europe?
Well, okay, let's say inhabited. Like most of the inhabited part of Russia is in Europe. Because I'm not even trying to troll you. I'm saying like I thought it was like Siberia that was.
Is Moscow in Europe? No.
Oh, let's have a
Neither is St. Peter's. Isn't it the Ural Mountains, the usual boundary of Europe? Anyway, I'm going to know what the result song.
Yeah, play the song. It's so fun.